interpersonal life kind of have to do? Like, how does it interact with your professional life?
Okay.
And, you know, the positives and negatives,
Right.
and then kind of how it has to do with your conflict.
Okay.
You can take a minute to think about it if you'd like.
Okay. All right. My relationship, my love interest, is lives. We live in Hastings, Minnesota together,
Okay.
and he has very many different interests, and and one of them is horses. So, and he is very supportive and has been supportive of this quest of mine. In fact, finding me an internship at the Air Force Academy, I wouldn't have had that.
Was that?
That was my internship.
Was it with horses?
Or? With horses.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I was doing an internship in therapeutic instruction and horse management, barn management at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, and he set that up for me. And I think he is I feel like he's being very supportive of what I want to do, but his life is a little bit different, and he's got other obligations, and it seems like I sort of fall into, you know, a wife mode, or what I've always done before is be a wife and be supportive,
Mm-hmm.
more of my partner's interest than mine. And, you know, just for instance, for the month of December, which could have been a study month for me, and it could have been a certification month, I went and made a movie with him, and had a great time, loved it. It was a wonderful experience, but it really was, you know, furthering his career, not furthering mine.
Right, right.
So now, now that's done. We are looking at other things. We are going back to Colorado, which will help me, because it's very horsey and very horse-oriented, the things we do in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's this lag time in between that's bothering me. There's a here's this space of time. It's like 5 months before we get back to Colorado, and I feel like I should be making more strides, and I'm just sort of not. I'm sort of in the doldrums, and while I'm making, the plans for taking the tests, I still have all this lag time, and I just feel like, well, is it ever going to happen? And we keep making plans
Mm-hmm.
together, doing things that seem to push my...
Okay, so they're outside
right.
The plan and like
Mm-hmm.
the structure.
Right. It seems to push my plan a little further off when we are planning things together.
Okay. Well, let me just start off. You're not alone in this. A lot of my patients, a lot of, therapy work, and we talk about relationships,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact is that there is always, going to be a little bit of a struggle with, developing and like managing your individual kind of roles, and then your interpersonal relationships with other people. And a lot of times it can feel like they're two different worlds, but with some work and kind of like reevaluating and almost kind of relooking at it, it's a little easier to kind of like remesh together. So I just thought,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of something that I have seen before, so you're not alone in that.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing that I was thinking of, as you were kind of talking about, what we're going together versus
Right.
what I'm doing, what he's doing. So is there a way that you have kind of formulated, or have you started thinking about a way that you can kind of do both? Do you see is it a possibility?
Yeah, and that's going to take, that takes a lot of organization
Right.
to do that, to do both of them and have it, again, having it all.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not my forte, being organized. So that sort of, at times, overwhelms me.
Okay.
To think about, okay, now what do I have to do? Now I've got to do this, and then I have to skitter around to make sure that all my ducks are in a row from my end of it, and then we can go to Colorado. He can do his movie business in Colorado, and we can do some rodeo things in Colorado as well, and then I have my end of it over here.
Okay.
And that's the way I see it happening, and that's what I hope my future is, at least for half a year in Colorado and half wherever else. But it's just sort of like it's getting these last details together. And in my life, I've always been, the closer I get to an event, I'll procrastinate like crazy, and then as the party or as whatever is happening comes to the forefront, then I go like crazy.
Right.
And so maybe this is some of that energy that stress sometimes will push you into a more creative mode and into pushing yourself along. And that could be what this feeling is about. And I'm starting to get to a sort of a boiling point, or a roiling of the boil until I go full steam ahead. But I definitely am feeling pressure.
Right. And it's interesting because coming from when we first came in, we talked about what you had done to kind of get to where you are now, and then hearing that you feel a little, trepidation towards organization. Just kind of looking back and seeing how much that you've done, I find that kind of interesting. But then the point that you bring in that, you feel that this is a pattern almost, correct?
Right.
Right. But one thing that I do work with my patients with is it does help, I think, almost anyone, no matter what kind of organization skill that you have, to kind of lay out the little things, kind of what you need to get, like what you need to do now and what you need to get from point A to point B and everywhere in between.
Right.
Because and I know it seems it's scary to think about all those points, but once you have them all out on the table, you don't have to think about it anymore. And then you just do one thing a day.
Yeah.
Yep, you do one thing a day, and it helps. It helps you start going on that, and then it decreases the stress a little bit.
Right.
So, if we were to start making one of those lists now, what are some of the points that you think that you need to do between now and when you make your certification, or now and kind of the Colorado, and like how are you planning to get certified before you go to Colorado?
Yes, I'd like to have it all finished so that I can start working when I hit the bricks in Colorado.
So what are some of the steps that we can kind of look at and start planning out?
It's actually making the reservation for the date of certification.
Okay. And what's required for that?
Going online and doing it. One of my things, and again, letting things sort of go to the last minute. I thought that there were going to be tests in January and February, somewhere in Florida, and I needed to be in Florida on Jim's business, so I thought that would work out well. But when the final schedule came out, there were no tests until March. So I know that there's a test in Ocala, Florida, mid-March, and so now what I need to do is say, okay, that's what I'm doing. And
so you're going to be in
online
Florida
registration, yes. Well, that I'll have to be.
Is there one that you can take closer back home? No? Okay.
No.
So we know that we need to, make a reservation for this mid-March registration date. What is the next step after that?
Actually doing, making sure my writing skills are, and it's writing every day, or writing a pattern, which is a little bit hard in Minnesota, but
especially
not
considering how cold it is.
Right, and how snowy, but it's not impossible, and so possibly in between then and now, I can trail my horses into someone's indoor riding arena and take some lessons. So I have to set up taking lessons.
Okay.
I'm in the community relatively a short time, so I really don't have an instructor to ride with. So it would be finding an instructor to ride with and setting up a schedule of riding.
Okay.
And the bookwork's already been done.
So you're all studied.
I'm all I'm pretty studied, but it would be review.
Okay.
And I